Hey K-popers, and welcome back to Hallyu. Today we're going to look at the incredible and inspiring story of Red Velvet's Wendy. We'll start by looking at her early life and how she ended up getting into SM, as well as some of the many things that she's achieved as an artist since then. We'll then talk about how her Canadian background has left its mark on her journey as an idol, and go over the tragic injury she suffered at the hands of SBS in 2019. And finally, we'll see how her recovery from that injury is just one example of Wendy's unbreakable spirit. Before we get started, I want to quickly thank Hallyu's honorary producers. If you want to show off your bias group in every video, have your say in future content in the channel, and join the official Hallyu Discord server, come support Hallyu on Patreon and join our wonderful community. So prepare to be amazed by Wendy's wonderful story so far. Wendy was born on February 21st, 1994 with the birth name Son Sang-wan in the Songbuk district of Seoul. She was born into a family of music lovers, so it wasn't a surprise that by the age of 6 she was already dreaming of playing musical instruments and becoming a singer. In fact, Wendy knows how to play the piano, guitar, flute, and saxophone. She spent her early years living in the scenic city of Jecheon, but during her 5th year of elementary school, her and her older sister moved with her family to Canada to study abroad. She lived in Brockville, Ontario for a time before attending the Shattuck St. Mary's boarding school in Faribault, Minnesota, which is where she adopted the name Wendy. With a new name, she came back to Canada and found her home in Richmond Hill, Ontario, which is just outside of Toronto. While attending Richmond Hill High School, Wendy continued pursuing her passion of singing in the school show choir, Vocal Fusion. Despite this though, Wendy's parents were initially against her pursuing any sort of musical career, instead wanting her to continue her studies. After her parents eventually relented, Wendy submitted an online audition for the 2011 Koreaview Global Auditions, which were held in conjunction with Cube Entertainment. She was one of 15 applicants who were handpicked from the 5,000 auditions chosen by fellow Canadian Gina to continue to the final round in Vancouver and open for Gina's solo showcase. Unfortunately though, Wendy didn't make the final cut, and has come out in recent years that she was also rejected by YG Entertainment around that time. Then, a year later, Wendy accompanied her sister to the 2012 SM Global Audition in Canada, but it was her sister who was planning on auditioning that day. As fate would have it, Wendy ended up singing the song Moon of Soul, passed the audition, and finally got her break to join a K-pop label in Korea. After a year and a bit of training, Wendy joined the pre-debut group SM Rookies on March 14th, 2014. While in the group, she would release an OST song called Because I Love You for the drama Mimi, and she would also feature in its MV. And of course, on August 1st, 2014, she would make her big debut as the main vocalist of Red Velvet with the song Happiness, where she set the bar high right from the get-go. As we all know, Wendy has had a spectacular career thus far as a part of this top-tier girl group, but she's also done so much outside of the group as well. Wendy has been a perennial performer in SM Station series, featuring on 7 different songs since 2016, including The Little Match Girl with Baek Ah-yeon, Doll with Kangta and Seulgi, Written in the Stars with John Legend, and my personal favorite, Spring Love, a wholesome duet with Eric Nam. Wendy is a natural pick for drama OSTs as well, but she's even branched out beyond K-pop, featuring on Ricky Martin's English version of Vente Pa Acá. Going beyond music, she's also been a panelist on We Got Married, she's been on King of Masked Singer and several other shows, and she was also in the Trolls World Tour movie. In case you don't know, there is a K-pop group in Trolls World Tour that is Red Velvet, and if you don't believe me, check out the matching hair colors for the members and this performance. Wendy is the main voice actor for the character Wani in the movie, and she speaks the truth.
And we can't live in a world without K-pop.
Now, with the many years spent living in Canada since her childhood and the fact that her family continues to live there, Wendy considers herself to be Canadian. And this, along with her English fluency, has been a frequent topic of conversation on variety shows over the years. My personal favorite is this exchange during their rookie appearance on Weekly Idol, where she explains her nationality to the hosts Stony and Coney.
I'm from Canada.
Canada?
Canada.
Quebec City?
Yes, Canada.
Quebec City?
No, not
Ottawa?
Quebec.
Ottawa?
No, Toronto.
Toronto. Canada.
Canada.
얘기하면 안 돼.
Behind the jokes and the fun though is the truth that as a Canadian with her family back in Canada, Wendy has had a tough go of things since moving to Korea by herself in 2012. I can only imagine how many nights she spent alone, wondering if it was worth it, or wishing she could see her family as she worked tirelessly day in and day out to succeed as a member of Red Velvet. Now, something you should know about us Canadians is that we tend to be fiercely proud of our own, especially on the world stage. So when Red Velvet's Red Mare tour announced a stop in Toronto, everyone knew there was an unforgettable night in the making. I was fortunate enough to be there that night, where after 7 long years, Wendy finally came home to perform for her fellow Canadians. Believe it or not, this is actually my own personal footage from that night. After the girls finished their final song of the concert, they came out and ran it overtime by spending over 20 minutes sharing memories, crying together, getting fans to chant Wendy's name, pointing out her mom, old schoolmates, teachers, and others in the crowd, and soaking up every second of a surreal shared moment.
I don't think I could forget today, because everyone that I love is here.
After her training and her hard work for 5 years in Red Velvet, that night brought Wendy's journey full circle and left her feeling on top of the world. Unfortunately, less than a year later, Wendy would be the victim of one of the most horrific stage injuries to ever happen to a K-pop idol. On Christmas Day 2019, Wendy was rehearsing her solo stage for the 2019 SBS Gayo Daejeon end-of-year concert. Crew members for the show had a glaring lapse in safety and did not have the lift stairs in place for the rehearsal for her stage. As a result, Wendy fell over 8 feet, landing on her right side and suffering a fractured pelvis, a broken wrist, and a cracked cheekbone. She was rushed to the hospital and all her future activities were subsequently cancelled by SM. She'd go on to spend 2 months in the hospital and even had her jaw wired shut for some of that time. In February of 2020, Wendy was discharged and started her outpatient treatment, obviously still needing to rehabilitate and rebuild her strength after such serious injuries. But this is where every K-pop fan began to see the unbreakable spirit that Wendy possesses, something Revelovs have known of for years. And I'm not just talking about her injury. Wendy's entire life story is evidence of her determination to not let anything break her. She had to cope with moving across the world at a young age, then again moving to a boarding school in a third country. She had to persevere through rejection at multiple labels before eventually making it into SM. She had to endure and adapt to the grueling idol routine as a trainee, once again in a country she wasn't accustomed to, and this time without any of her family to help her. In fact, during that Red Bear in Toronto concert, Joy shared that her heart broke for Wendy because during Chuseok, the holiday where everyone goes home to spend time with their family, Wendy stayed at the dorms by herself. At each and every turn in her life, Wendy had massive hurdles to overcome, yet every time she found it in herself to press on and succeed. So when she suffered an injury that would make most people reconsider ever returning as an idol, she never gave up. In fact, when she was in the hospital with her jaw wired shut, she was still practicing her singing. Wendy's unbreakable spirit lived on, and on August 21st, 2020, we saw her once again as part of Red Velvet's cover of BoA's Milky Way. Then, on a very special New Year's SM Town Live Culture Humanity concert, Wendy made her comeback performing Bad Boy, Peekaboo, and Psycho on stage, choreography and all with the full group. And now Wendy is working on her solo debut, scheduled for next month, April 2021. The story of Red Velvet's Wendy is one that's inspirational for all of us. Despite facing challenges and setbacks unlike almost any other idol, her unending desire to pursue her dreams has carried her through every single time. She's the pride of Canada, one of the strongest girl group vocalists out there, and a shining example of just how much you can achieve when you have an unbreakable spirit. Alright guys, that concludes our look at Red Velvet's Wendy. I personally always look to Wendy for motivation to keep working hard myself. How about you? Do you find her story inspiring? As always, thank you so much for watching this deep dive, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on all the great K-pop content coming your way every single week right here at Hallyu. This has been Deep Dive number 46, Wendy.